based on conditions, and obviously it's colder up here. Kind of depends on how fast things expand. Texas, we don't have to worry about it as much, even if they're now it's 40s or 50s, but I opened that from the stick about an hour ago, and it still hadn't completely expanded. We're getting there. All right. Should be enough to get me. I'm gonna grab my tape. All right. So basic product, who in the industry does expansion joints? I know most people, or some guys are here for the glass. Anybody?
We scheduled the glass first, so all of our restoration guys are coming later. So we started out with the stuff first that everybody wanted to see later. But, hey,
so we have restoration guys coming later today.
Well, they're supposed to be here any time, but
okay.
We started out with the guys that wanted pro days. So do what you got to do.
I don't want to actually do a hard install. We can talk about it with this group. Next group comes in when they actually start using some of the spec.
We have 2 contractors coming who have confirmed that actually buy and use this product. So, I mean, our glass guys are here mostly for the pro glaze.
Okay, so we'll just talk about this, and I'll say, because once we crack these open and get them expanded, and I get them buttered up to spec 1, we're done. You can't use it, you can't demo it anymore. So we'll just start talking about the process for our 250B, which is our road bridge expansion joint. I was talking to Derek about the process that we're trying to deal with getting DOT approved. It's very challenging per state. Each state is different layers of bureaucracy, different layers of application process. We're not approved in Washington at this point. We're in phase 2, which means we've done all the paperwork, we've submitted all the specs. We're just kind of waiting on an evaluation location. A lot of that depends on time of year. So we're getting there. Idaho, same process, same phase. So the 250B, it's our 250 bridge expansion joint. It requires a two-part component, A and B, and then spec 1 for a finishing bead. So I've been out in the field. The guys are out there in the field like, man, we don't need any masking tape. We can do this. So anyway, just follow along with me. You know how it goes. We have to show you how it's done properly, that you can do what you want. We would recommend against it, but we live in the real world. So the joint needs to be clean. IPA, alcohol is one thing we recommend. Either steel plates, that is strong. Either steel plates. So if I fall over, man, just understand why. Or if I start talking crazy, you understand. So the joint prep is really important for the 250B expansion joint. It's a open cell. I'll just go ahead and show you this. This is similar. I can pass this around so you can get a feel for it. It's an open cell, silicone injected, monolithic joint, meaning it's pre-compressed. Silicone is inside it. It expands. You can get different expansions. It comes shipped like this with these shipping sticks to keep it compressed. Once you crack it open, depending on conditions and depending on how long it's been stored. So, for example, I'll use Texas. If it's 70 to 80, it'll expand in probably 15 minutes. I opened that one about an hour ago. We're already about 2 inches. So it's dependent on time of year, conditions, and things like that. So that being said, it's important when you're doing the application, you don't want to open too many sticks at one time, because once it's open, it's open. You can use the shipping sticks. If you get too far ahead, you run into a problem. You can recompress it and wrap it in tape. So the joint's been cleaned. Want to have a...
You can recompress that and wrap it in tape if you get...
You can. If you open a stick and you realize you got a oh shit moment, we got to shut it down. Keep the sticks. I would not use blue tape. I would use masking tape, something with some substance. Compress it down and then wrap it to keep it from expanding any further. I wouldn't recommend storing it that way for a long time.
No,
but it'll buy you time.
Okay, I didn't know we could do that. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely, it'll buy you time. And this is just for aesthetics. Make it look nice and clean. Because a lot of these are on stadiums, bridges, pedestrian walkways, and it can be color matched, so it is important to try to keep it clean.
Anytime a building comes together, if there's an expansion of one building to a next, like down in Tri-Cities, for example, there's gonna be an expansion joint where that building comes to the other building.
So you want to take the time to prep it and do it right. So the A and B component, we're gonna save this for the next group. But this is a sharp crew, so I don't have to show you how to mix an A and B component. You're gonna use a small mixing paddle. You mix A equally to B. In a 5 gallon or even a 1 gallon will work better. You just add it, mix it equally. The longer you mix it, the shorter the kick time. So kind of depending on where you are, what you're doing in the conditions. The more you get into these applications, the more you realize how much I need to mix it. But once it's a nice consistency, and you'll see it's kind of, it turns into a gray consistency, and it's gray throughout, you can start prepping the walls, or the inside walls. Using the standard margin trowel. You know, there are some people in this world, when they work with caulks and sealants that are really clean, I'm not that guy. I gotta have rags upon rags upon rags. The only thing that we really clean our tools with is acetone or xylene, works best. You can use it, but I wouldn't use it in the product other than a cleaning tool. And a smoothing product for our wing joint. So you mix the A and the B, the joint is clean. You make sure that you apply the joint smooth all the way to the inside. Both sides, no voids. You can see it. It works best when you have a crew, you have one guy working, using the epoxy A and B, getting ahead of you, but not too far. I can use this as a demo. I've got these notched out for the vertical. You do not have to do this on the horizontal. The notching is just for vertical applications. So we call well tail it. Once you've got your A and B epoxy on both sides, you start a determination wall. You're going to leave yourself, these come in 6.5 foot joints. They can be custom made, but there's a 10-day minimum lead time on custom wings. So 6.5 is kind of standard for the industry. So usually have a guy doing your epoxy, getting out ahead, and then you're going to lay it out. You're going to lay your first one, your first joint, termination wall in. You're going to butter the end of it wherever it makes any kind of contact. And we'll come back in with spec 1 and make a finishing bead once the whole run is done. These have packing seals on the side. That's all that is, just to keep it clean. I'm going to leave those on. Once you get your first 6 foot stick run, you're going to leave it exposed like that. You're going to kind of allow an overlap. I'll kind of show you. You're going to allow just about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch overlap, and you're going to work away from the joint, leaving it like this. Going that way, pushing it all the way in. Once you get it partially put in, you're going to butter it up, and you're going to push these together, and there'll be tension. You want to kind of, you don't want to flush this. It needs to be less than 1/4 inch. That's why we allow this. Less than a 1/4 inch, because we're going to put a finishing bead in this gap right here. So the 250B is a very simple product, very durable product. It's something we're really looking hard at in this area. We're really pushing it in this area. DOT approval, I've already talked about that. This group may not be the group to ask, but I'm from Texas, so I've been tasked with the whole DOT process. All 50 states and Puerto Rico and Canada. So I need contacts, anybody that has a contact, or someone that I can actually talk to in person than a .gov website. I'll be taking names and trying to make contacts.
Isn't Canada going to be our 51st state? Or
It's funny you talk about Canada. We just had a big meeting, and their DOT is called Ministry of Transportation. So it's very ominous sounding.
Yeah.
But actually, I hate to say this, it is the easiest process. By far the easiest approval process. You don't have to go through different territories, different states. You basically submit it. They have their own testing facility. Once they do it, you're good for the entire country. So, anyway, we're getting there in Canada. So,
Washington State's about getting it. Oh, they don't care about the testing. They don't don't care if it works, they won't pay.
Yeah.
Grease their pockets,
I'm
yeah.
finding that out. I know a guy, and that's exactly what this is. So we got to make the contacts. We got to get our feet in the door. Got to get out and find test and evaluation sites. So that's the 250B. You had to use your imagination, but just imagine this being a bridge joint, steel galvanized plates, or exposed concrete. If it is exposed, make sure that it's clean, all the flaking is off. It doesn't have to necessarily be perfectly level or flush, but it just needs to be clean. The wing joint. You talking about the coatings and applications for pedestrian walk. Do you guys, y'all selling this?